Well, hello my fellow people of the Australian Commonwealth. There seems to be a little bit of confusion out there of which constitution is our binding and lawful constitution of Australia. This is our lawful and binding constitution of the Australian Commonwealth. It's 1008 pages big and it's written by Garens. Now, this is what I normally refer to as our supreme constitution. It overrules any other constitution which any government has made. Now, how it is binding is it has the royal assent seal up here. Okay, that there is the royal seal which is placed on every act, and this constitution which makes the acts binding within the Commonwealth. Now, what else sets it apart from any other is the what I've just showed you, the proclamation. This here. What that is basically the states of Australia and Australia agreeing that this constitution is our supreme constitution as of 1901. So, as the states have agreed to that, Western Australia was one of the slow comers to actually agree with it. But at the end of the day, this constitution is our supreme constitution. Now, if you went to school here in Australia in the early 80s to mid 80s, you would know what this is. If you went to school after the mid 80s, you would not know what this book is about, because what actually happened is the Australian government of the day decided to stop the teaching of the Commonwealth, or the Australian the Constitution of the Australian Commonwealth in every public school. By soon after, it was also then removed from the curriculum. So you would not know what this book is all about. All what you would know is these two here. The Australian Constitution. That's all what you would know. Now, the difference between these two constitutions is this constitution here was first published in 1997, and then the second edition was 2000. So they've updated it. They've changed it. They've removed stuff. They've added stuff. They've removed and changed your rights as an Australian, which they cannot do. The Australian Constitution also has the invalid Australia Act, which Bob Hawke brought in 1986 to basically cut law ties with the Queen. But unfortunately, because that didn't go to a referendum, because it changed your rights, it is an invalid act and holds no authority. Then we have this little constitution book here, Australia's Constitution. Now, this too is invalid and it holds no authority over any person in Australia. In fact, this constitution was actually brought out in 2013. So, and it's also supposedly got the royal, the federal government's seal on it. Now, we'll go into that seal a little bit later, because that seal was also invalid. It's actually a registered trademark in the United States of America. So, then we come back to the Commonwealth Constitution, or the Supreme Constitution, and it is, as I said before, it is binding, and what is actually in this constitution is if there's sections in here, like say the marriage section, that has an SS 200 marriage. So in this constitution here, I'll try and open it up and just show you, but it pulls the pages out. This section here is the SS 200 marriage. Now this is, as you can see, it's mentioned in the Supreme Constitution, or the Commonwealth Constitution. But when you get to these here, and this one here, and any other Australian Constitution, there's no mention of marriage of the SS 200. Why is there no mention? Well, the Australian government has removed it from the Constitution. Now, the reason why they've removed it from the Constitution is we now get into acts. Now, remember when I showed you the royal assent seal? This one here, okay? That seal, under this Constitution, any act coming from this Constitution has to have a royal seal on it, which means it's been endorsed and okayed and signed off by the Queen or the Governor General. Now, because these constitutions here have been rewritten, they don't have the royal seal, assent seal, on any of these. Because what it means is the Australian government can then get an act, and instead of having the royal assent seal on it, they can have the emu and the kangaroo, this one here. Supposedly saying that it's a lawful act because it's got the Australian government stamp on it. Well, that's actually incorrect, because in here, this Constitution, the Commonwealth Constitution, it basically states that any act which comes from this Constitution and any other act drawn up to be made binding, lawful, and for it to hold power, must have this seal on it here, the royal seal. And these ones don't. So hopefully now you can see the difference between what lies the Australian government are telling us. So we have our Supreme Constitution, and then we have the invalid constitutions. Many people say to me, Grant, I've read the Australian Constitution, and basically that is our binding constitution. They are not our binding constitutions. They're lawfulless. They don't hold any authority over you. The acts in them are pretty well much the same as these, but they're not endorsed by the royal seal which is being placed in this one here. So hopefully that will explain to you the difference between the constitutions. So I would strongly suggest to the people out there, please don't go by these here, because these here are unlawful, and once again the government has rewritten them to suit the government and remove your rights. These ones here are not common law. These are basically statute law. This Constitution, our Supreme Constitution, or the Constitution of the Australian Commonwealth, this, once again, is binding. And until there is a referendum held to remove this Constitution and replace it with these are invalid. Full stop, period, no questions asked. Thanks very much for watching, and we will catch you again soon.
Annabelle.